Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Kamran Akhtar, representing a group of three people, including myself. Others in the group are Haris Sheikh and Vikas Qureshi. As part of Pasha's Social Innovation Fund program, we will be presenting Qeemat, which is our idea for contributing to a socio-economic change in the country. Before we start, just a quick introduction of the individuals in the group. I am a mechanical engineering graduate with a master's in computer science and have more than 10 years of experience. Haris is next. He's a computer science graduate with 11 years of experience. And then Vikas, who is also a computer science graduate and has about 8 years of experience. As a group, we have worked together on professional IT projects for the last 5 years. We now start with the presentation. As the name suggests, the idea has something to do with price, the English word for Qeemat. But before we actually jump into explaining the idea, let us first establish the surroundings in which the idea applies. The context is that of a consumer market in a high inflation economy. Given the global economic downturn, this context is universal. But it is even more relevant to a country like ours, where inflation is primarily countered through short-term firefighting measures. In such a consumer market, price becomes a controlling factor. It starts affecting the consumer behavior in such a way that he tends to make price-centric decisions for his day-to-day buying. Decisions like what to buy, how much to buy, where to buy. The information which generally feeds these decisions is comprised of, firstly, the list of recurring household needs, also known as the shopping basket. Secondly, the known prices of major items from a few popular or easily accessible stores. And finally, a perception about the proximity of stores under consideration. Using this information, the consumer generally does brand-to-brand and store-to-store comparisons. These are done beforehand as well as on the spot. Since price is the primary consideration, the consumer is mostly willing to sacrifice brand loyalty and even personal convenience while making these comparisons. Now, if you look at the flip side of this consumer market, it so turns out that the price itself is in control of a few market players, categorized here by the role they play in the supply chain. The producer primarily concerns himself with procurement and production costs. After adding up the profit margin, which is a highly guarded trade secret, and the cost of inefficiencies like production downtime and process waste, the final factory price is what gets pushed down the supply chain. Then comes the distributor, which is a role sometimes played by the producer himself. For a distributor, transportation and storage costs are the main concerns. Here again, besides profit margin, cost of damaged or wasted items generally becomes a factor in out-the-door price. Finally, the seller keeps profit margin on top of his storage and presentation costs. Sellers' discretionary costs like store location, stock keeping level, and presentation style generally contribute further to the final shelf price which the consumer has to pay. With Qeemat, our idea is to empower the consumer and make him the driving force of this supply chain. To be more specific, we want to bring under check the downstream impact of pricing from producer to consumer and balance it out by initiating the upstream impact. This can be made to happen by enabling the consumer to make more informed buying decisions. While an average consumer is relying even today on informal means of information, like walk-in price checks and word of mouth, Qeemat promises to make this information flow more systematic, more accurate, and more instantaneous. This is to be done by connecting consumers with sellers through a shared technology-driven product. For the consumer, Qeemat will power price-based searches and comparisons on sellers. Through customization capabilities like monthly shopping basket and preferred buying locations, Qeemat will provide the consumer with the flexibility to tailor these searches and comparisons according to his preferences. On the seller side, Qeemat will integrate with his existing point-of-sale system for the pricing information to flow in. This will ensure that the seller prices make it to Qeemat in a hassle-free, accurate, and up-to-date manner. Qeemat will provide the seller with administrative capabilities to control his price publishing process. It will also enable the sellers to statistically track his price performance based on Qeemat searches and comparisons done by consumers. The first step towards bringing Qeemat alive will be the formal product conceptualization based on the original idea. This will be followed by feasibility preparation to determine if the product concept is implementable and sellable. Qeemat is expected to gain initial traction with more price-sensitive but less store-loyal consumers. Likewise, more price competitive but relatively unknown stores are expected to be early onboarders. The initial onboarding of a handful of such stores and potential increase in their consumer traffic can serve as a proof of concept for more well-known stores to take Qeemat seriously. Once on board, such popular stores can in turn generate more consumer traction. This naturally leads to the suitability of a pilot project where select consumers and sellers will be engaged. Future roadmap will be determined by outcome of the pilot, inshallah. Given a chance, we think a few factors would come in handy for us to work on this idea. Firstly, our extensive experience of managing and implementing technology projects for some of the leading businesses around the globe gives us the insight on what it takes to deliver an idea end to end. Secondly, a leading technology vendor's appreciation of our innovative work gives us the confidence to critically evaluate and creatively adopt cutting-edge technologies as the project demands. And finally, success with our clients in the past gives us the hope for future that we can inshallah be successful on Qeemat and bring about our envisioned socio-economic change. In the end, we as a group thank all our audience for sitting through this presentation and look forward to a continuing interaction. Allah Hafiz.